Hello everyone and welcome to your first Academic Writing Basics seminar. So these little bite-sized videos will only be about 10 minutes long, but you'll have access to them throughout your degree to help you to refresh and remind you for the things that you need to be doing when writing scientifically. Now, we're going to start with very, very basic, but the mistakes that people do sometimes make, and we'll go all the way up to constructing a proper essay. So today we're going to start very, very simple, and we're just going to start with the very simple aspects of writing. Now, I hope that you don't feel too patronised by this, because whilst a lot of you will have absolutely nailed this, some of you or previous students have had issues with this. Now, if you submit an essay to me that is of poor quality, because you have had access to these videos, if you are missing out on these very basic areas of academic writing, it will negatively affect your results quite substantially. But of course, when we're at university level, we should have nailed these academic writing skills already. So what we're going to do over the course of the next 10 videos, we're going to be looking at a mini essay that I've written, and in every mini session we're going to be editing it slightly so that it goes from being a very poor essay to being a very high standard essay. But it is a mini essay, so it won't be particularly long. So today we're looking at capital letters, spelling, punctuation, and paragraphing. And here is the mini essay that I've prepared. As you can see, it's very, very tiny, but it will grow as the weeks move on. So the essay is answering the question, discuss intergroup behaviour and ways of reducing intergroup conflicts. Now, the content of this essay is all correct, and it covers quite a lot of the basics of these theories. However, because of the way that it's written, it simply wouldn't get a very good mark. So let's have a look. Intergroup behaviour is when people are in a group and act different and also weird with people in another group. We usually don't like people who aren't in our group because that makes us feel better about ourselves. This is called sit. We can't be bothered to come up with reasons why we don't like each person, so we think they're all not as good, and this is stereotypes. Stereotypes make you prejudiced and racist. Prejudice is a bad attitude towards people in other groups, and discrimination is when you act on it. This can be explained by theories of prejudice like sit and it. Sit thinks that you don't like people if they're in a different group, so you feel better about yourself, even if the group is pretty much the same. It thinks that it's caused by anxiety and fear, and that makes you think that the others are a threat in 4 different ways. You can also be racist because your parents or your friends are, or because you like to be dominant like Hitler. One way to make it better is to contact the other group, but again, there needs to be 4 things that go right. There's good and bad things about this, but mainly it's okay if done properly. Now, this actually covers quite a lot of the correct information that I would expect to be presented in this mini essay. However, as we can see, it's very difficult to understand, doesn't give a lot of detail, and is poorly written. And so, over the next few weeks, we're going to be editing this essay in line with what we're focusing on each week, so that we ultimately end up with a very good essay at the end. So today we're looking at the very basics of academic writing. So we'll start with correcting all of the writing errors. So there we would put a D for and we want capital letters, we want to spell things correctly, and we want to punctuate correctly. Now here I'm going to put an apostrophe in there, but in future seminars, we'll be removing that word entirely. But for now, we'll just correct the punctuation. So, and here we have, this is called sit. Now, if you're writing an academic essay, you need to make sure that you don't just put the acronym straight away, you put the full name. So, social identity theory. There we go. So we'll just go through and we'll correct all of the grammatical errors. Here we go. So discrimination there is spelt wrong, and we've got a double explained there. So we'll delete that, and again, we'll take social identity theory, and internal threat theory. Or intergroup, sorry, not internal. Intergroup threat theory. But from here, actually, we don't need to do that because we can just put sit here. And after we've written it out fully once, we don't need to write it out fully again. But what we do need to do is make sure that we use capital letters, because that's a theory. So we'll put that in brackets as well for intergroup threat theory, and we'll move this to make it capital letters. We'll carry on correcting all the way through. See here we have the letter, the number 4, but we'll change that in future seminars. Again, we have a spelling mistake. We need Hitler to have a capital H. That's a typo. And there's that. And that needs to have an apostrophe. I believe I also put in here some misspelled theirs. Although it might have actually auto-corrected those. And then, of course, we have a full stop at the end. We also want to make sure that we paragraph appropriately. So this paragraph here, that would kind of be our introduction. Oh, we need to correct that with as well. So that's our introduction. This here is the main body. And this here would be where we talk about reducing intergroup conflict. We might even put SIT and ITT in 2 different paragraphs, but because this is going to be a very short essay, we'll probably just leave that as it is because we're only going to go over the bare basics. So as you can see, in just doing a little bit of editing, we've gone from having really quite a poorly written paragraph to something that looks closer to something that would have higher marks. So even in just doing that very, very briefly, you will have improved your grade. So thank you very much for watching this week, and I hope to see you next week for our next academic skills seminar video.